everybody. It's JB Portillo here. We're back with our monthly update with Mayor Flynn. How are you this morning?
Great.
Yeah?
It's great to be here.
Well, did you wear your green yesterday?
I sure did.
I bet you did.
Yeah.
I think you've been doing a lot of social events lately, and I see both of you guys, you and Linda, out there just doing all kinds of incredible things for the community.
Yeah. We were at a St. Patrick's Day party on Saturday. A lot of folks had them on the weekend this year because of, it's more convenient, I guess, to have a party on Saturday.
Yeah.
So we were at St. Patrick's Day party over at St. Bernard's. That was a lot of fun.
Oh, yeah.
So,
yeah, there's a lot of things going on. And, we had a show last week about how to do green beer.
Mm-hmm.
So who knew?
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about, you had the timing of our show and your work sessions and the real things is, I'm looking at this more like a precursor of what might happen at the regular meeting, which is next week, correct?
Yeah, that's right. A lot of times this show falls, it's the third Wednesday, so it falls after the work session.
Yeah. So you had a work session recently.
Yeah.
So what happened there?
Oh, quite a few things. First thing is we talked about impact fees, and that has to do with a fee on new construction, whether it's commercial or residential, and it's a fee to compensate the city for the extra infrastructure challenges it creates because of the additional population, additional wear on the roads, that kind of thing. So the proposal we have for impact, we have existing impact fees, and they've been working pretty well, and they're pretty modest. And every few years, it's a good idea to have the people do a study because things change so much. We did ours 5 years ago, and it's just unbelievable how much has changed since then. And so we have a group called Tischler Bice, who's the #1 consultant in the U.S. on impact fees. And what they do is they figure out what amount is legitimate for you to charge for impact fees. So we have a proposal before council, and it has impact fees for, the biggest ones are for fire, and then there's some for police, and then there's some for, there's some for a little bit for the library, and a little bit for pathways by the side of roads, which is something people are really interested in. So that's just a proposal at this point, and we'll see what happens with it. It'll go before council next Monday. We just had a discussion about it the other day.
Yeah.
So,
So an impact fee then is, help me if I'm saying this wrong, but that fee is used specifically for certain things?
Yeah. In fact, it's kept in separate funds. It's divided up. So, you've got so much left. And for instance, the fire impact fees we've spent down to zero, and the police have, I think, around $300,000 in theirs, and the library has a small amount in theirs, maybe $60,000, something like that.
Okay.
So these new fees, if they're passed, would take effect, and it's a little bit higher amount than it was. For example, right now the impact fee on a single-family home is $1,100 in Bella Vista, and these new fees would propose it would go to a little more than $2,000, so it would go up a bit. Most of the cities around us are a lot higher than that. Bentonville is $3,800, and Springdale and Rogers are quite a bit higher because they have sewer and water and a bunch of different things in there.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But anyway, it's just a proposal. What we do is we try to be reasonable and look at, what surrounding communities are doing and try not to, I don't ever want to gouge anybody or, charge more than is needed or is reasonable. And so we just try to find something that's reasonable. But this outside consultant helps us do that because they literally say how much is okay legally, and then we can go from there. We can charge that much or charge something less.
So builders are kind of used to this anyway. I mean, it's not like Bella Vista is the only one that does this. They're used to
I was
paying
surprised
extra.
when we first instituted one 5 years ago. There was no complaints or anything from
They just pass it through, I
yeah,
guess.
yeah.
Okay, so we need a van?
Yeah, yeah. The next thing we had on the council agenda was $60,000. That's for a van for our IT department, computer department. And what they do is they have a bunch of. It's almost like some of the people come to your house to repair different things. You know, they have all these repair parts and tools, whatnot, in the van. Then they can go to our different city locations and repair things. And they had an old van that we had gotten for free from the LESO program. You know, that's a program where you can get used equipment from the federal government for
Oh,
free.
yes, yes.
Unfortunately, ours was so old it started breaking down all the time, and we thought it was time we were going to have to get something better for them. So this should last them quite a while, and it's all set up inside, you know, with the shelving and all that for the various electronics. So.
And those kinds of vans like that are not easy to find, right? So there's kind of a little bit of a impetus for
Yeah.
getting this through so that we have.
Yeah, apparently it's relatively specialized, and there's only so many. And then we found one at a local dealership was a pretty good deal, and so they were anxious to get going on it.
Okay.
So, oh, and that is paid for by the bond money, the bond that was recently passed.
Of
So
course.
that's an example of some of the things we're doing with that.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up because I'd forgotten about that, but that's exactly right. It's not anything out of your pocket. It's already there. Camping?
We had several proposals. There was one about prohibiting camping, and I think one of the councilmen was worried that we might have a problem with homeless people in the future, and we haven't had so far. But one of the things that happens with Bella Vista is there's so little city property that we tend not to have some of the problems that some of the bigger cities have. You know, a lot of the land or the various properties are privately owned. For instance, it might be owned by the POA. Well, then you can't do things on people's private land, so we don't have quite as many challenges. But that's a proposal about the camping that I couldn't tell if it would go anywhere or not. It seemed like some of the council people weren't so sure it was necessary.
Right. Well, and I do remember that Chief Graves talked about what kind of issues that he didn't feel like it was a big deal anyway. And he does work with Blue Crane and the POA if police are needed, for even on private property. So really, you're right. The city doesn't own anything other than a fire station, maybe here and there.
Yeah.
So it's not like if you owned the parks.
Yeah.
So
okay. Next thing was, let's see, they talked about, there was a proposal to have a change to the business license, which we just enacted late last year. And the business license is $25. So it's pretty modest. But we had an exception that if you had an STR license, you didn't need a business license because you've already gotten a license. And we thought it would be duplicative. So, but they specified that if you're a person who manages STRs, then you're in a different small business and you do need a license.
Right.
And one of the councilmen didn't think that was right, so he's trying to get that changed. And I have no idea whether that will pass or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the A&P kind of gets picked on lately.
Yeah, they had a proposal about A&P, that's the Advertising and Promotion Commission. It's called Discover Bella Vista, having their financials posted on the website. And I think they probably wouldn't object to that. So that probably will be approved. I'm not sure about that. But it's just a matter of transparency and people understanding what goes on there. I think that's what they're thinking about. You know, some of these other cities around us have advertising and promotion commissions that are much bigger than ours and richer. For instance, Bentonville has quite a dynamic one, and they get a lot of money because it's 1 cent on restaurants, 1 cent on the dollar, and it's 2 cents on the dollar on lodging. So some of the bigger cities, it amounts to quite a bit of money. In Bella Vista, it's significant, but it's not out of this world. So then they turn around and use that money to try to promote tourism and promote business in the city. That's the idea of it. It's all something that was set up by state law.
Right.
So, yeah.
And if I remember correctly, there was some concern about taxpayers paying that tax, but then I forgot who brought it up, but somebody did, like, most of the people are from out of town anyway.
Yeah.
So it's not hurting any of us directly.
Yeah.
But it is giving us funds to get people here.
Sure.
Too.
Yeah.
So anyway, it's very interesting.
Yeah.
People can actually go to those A&P, the advertising and promotion meetings. We talked about that last month,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah.
And they're also, I believe, they're recorded.
Yeah.
So anytime the transparency's there,
Yeah.
a lot of it would be, even if you put the financials on the website, you still have to go there and read it.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, it is interesting. I've noticed, I've been at a number of A&P Commission meetings, and it's open to the public, and sometimes you'll have one person, and oftentimes you won't have anybody from the public. So it's just, there's only so much interest in the little minutia of government, I guess. So
That's right.
yeah.
All right, so now it's audit time.
Yeah,
What
we
fun.
had a contract for our auditors, Forvis Mazars, for auditing the year in 2025, and it was $61,000. And we looked back, it was similar, actually, last year, maybe a little larger. It's a little bit bigger, well, because you used to be in the account, I think,
Yes.
very familiar with accounting. And since we went to general accepted accounting principles, it's a lot bigger job to audit, so it costs us a little more than it used to. But
Yeah, I got tickled at Kim. She was like, yeah, it's a little bit more work than it used to be. But it gives people visibility, and it's.
Yeah, I think people take a lot, well, particularly since citizens, are busy and they don't have time to be looking at every little thing. And it gives you some comfort that it's audited and outside people look at it. And obviously it's a legal thing. You need to do it when you're a city. But it gives me some comfort too. I like to have an outside expert looking at it and saying, yeah, everything's okay.
Well, and also the way you used to do it, I understand the state's a year and a half behind. So if you were still doing the
the funny thing is you can get an audit by the state and it's free.
Yeah.
But it's and we used to do that at the city, but it's they're very slow and way behind, and it's not as high quality, frankly. But particularly once you start having bonds and things like that, people pretty much, the financial people kind of want you to have an outside audit. They have a little more confidence in that.
Well, and also like Kim said too, she says, if there's something wrong, which there usually isn't, but if it's wrong, you don't need to know about that 18 months down the road when it's much harder to do anything about it. So anyway, gap accounting is, yes, there's a lot more boxes to check and all of that, but it's kind of cool.
Yeah, it's kind of nice to know that they've been checked, right?
Yeah.
So the next thing is reappropriating unspent donations. We'll get donations from the taxpayers, and at the end of the year have some left. And then this is just a technicality that you have to say, okay, it's okay to spend them in 2026, even though you got them before. But it always calls attention to the fact that our citizens are very generous and actually give money to the city, and it's by department. The library has over $200,000 in unspent donations, and police get a fair amount, and the fire department always gets a lot. I think a lot of that has to do with the ambulance service.
Well, it does, and that was the only one that I really have any personal thing about. They're always amazing, the EMTs, and they're great. They're Johnny on the spot. But then the little letter comes along.
Yeah.
And it's great. It's great. So that's where the donations come from. A citizen loves a certain part of the city, so they make a donation to that specific department.
Yeah. And some of the big ones from the library in particular are from people's wills. That people are very fond of the library, and then they remember them when they pass away. So it's, yeah, sometimes they'll just out of the clear blue get a fair amount of money from somebody.
Yeah,
So.
their tax guy says, hey, you need to make some donations here this year. Let's take a quick break, and we'll be right back.
Okay,
All right?
sounds good.
Okay, we're back. Let's talk a little bit about, I love this part, the grant to extend Blowing Springs Greenway. This has been on the table now for a few years, and we're back again getting funding for this, correct?
Yeah, there were plans on the drawing board, so to speak. You know, the Greenway right now goes past Blowing Springs. Well, it's kind of a spur off the main Greenway. It goes past Blowing Springs and goes out to Metfield, goes up Houston Road, and turns on the Commonwealth and then stops. And the plan was always to go down the end of Commonwealth and hang a right on Trafalgar and go down Trafalgar for a ways. And surprising how much that cost.
Oh, yeah.
Anyway, it kind of got backburnered, and we kind of wanted to revive it. So actually, Taylor Robertson took the lead on this, and she, our planning director, and she said, hey, let's put it in for a grant for this. So we did, and it's $3.5 million to extend it. And the way the grants work, they're almost always 80-20. They come from the federal government through the state, and they give you 80%, and the city pays 20%. And we're really fortunate in Bella Vista that oftentimes Walton Foundation will pay the 20%. So she's discussed with them, and they were very interested in it as well. Mm-hmm. So I think that's going to go through, but you have to put in for the grant in very early April, and you need a resolution from council saying they support it as part of the application. So that's why we really have to pass it at this meeting.
Yes.
Of course, council seemed very positive about that, so I feel like that'll go well.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. So you don't like 5:30, huh?
Well, we had one council person who had a little bit of a problem making it in time. She had specific reasons. So she said, hey, do you think we could change it to 5:45? And my reaction was, because the other meeting's at 6 p.m., I thought, well, maybe if we're doing that, we should just go to 6 p.m. So all of our meetings, the work session and the meeting, would all be at 6 p.m. Because that's one thing I noticed with the Planning Commission. You know, they're always at 4:30.
Yes.
And it makes it a lot easier for people to keep track of.
Yes.
What time is the meeting? It's always 4:30.
Right.
So then we like to have ours later because of encouraging the public to attend, and you know, so that's why we have them at a later time. The reason we'd moved it up was some of the employees live pretty far, and they have to stay for the meeting, and then driving home, you know, they're getting home pretty late. So we kind of snuck it up to 5:30 to help them out a little. So different people, a lot of different competing interests, you know.
Yeah. Well, but you know, sometimes not all often, but there's sometimes when the Planning Commission and the work session are kind of together, and you know, I don't know if there's any this year, but you know, we're like, we got to hurry because it's time for the the regular work session. So maybe, I don't know, whatever works for everybody.
Yeah. So the fire chief, the next thing came up, the fire chief had brought up an issue about raising the ambulance fees. And what happened is the state changed their law and said it's okay for cities to raise their fees to 3.25 times the Medicare amount. And our fee right now is way lower than that. Well, a lot of private ambulances went right up to the max. So the issue is we could raise our fees, and we could raise it all the way or part way, or so. He thought it might be a little controversial, so he just put it as a discussion item. So we don't really have an ordinance proposed or a resolution yet, but I think some kind of fee increase is dictated. Basically, what happens is Medicare and Medicaid, it is what it is. You know, they pay what they pay, and that's it. So this would cover more of the rest of the world, which is people who who are younger and have insurance, and it's a matter of the insurance paying it. But it's, it's an interesting issue because this is another case where we want to be fair, and we don't want to gouge people either. But if you think about an ambulance, it's pretty expensive cost proposition. You've got a couple of trained medical people and the cost of the ambulance itself, and so there's a lot to it. But so we're looking into that, and the person who's the most enthused about this is our director of finance. She's been bugging the fire chief about the ambulance fees for years because we've had the fee at the same level for quite a while, and she says, "How can this be the right amount?" All this time has passed, but.
Well, a lot of that is going to be paid by insurance anyway.
Yeah.
There's the Medicare part, and then they write off what they don't pay, and then insurance. I mean, I think I'm with her on that.
Yeah, and the council was concerned about people who perhaps don't have insurance, and now they get this huge bill. And we had the lady there at the meeting who does all the actual physical billing. She's from Neosho and does it for quite a few people. And she said that people just don't pay. I mean, if the very few
Bad
people
debts,
that don't have any kind of coverage, they just
don't pay.
You can make the amount whatever you want. They're not paying it.
Yeah.
So, but that, people are concerned about being too hard on people that have less or whatnot. So,
That's right.
I understand that.
So is it time for the state of the city again? Didn't you just do that yesterday?
Yeah, it's actually, the law is you have to do it in the first 90 days.
Yeah.
So after the end of the year. So we always do it, or we usually do it in the March meeting. So next Monday I'll be giving the State of the City report. And spoiler alert, it's good.
Oh, good.
But we'll be giving some detail about what's going on and whatnot. And so I think that's a good law. I think most people communicate with their citizens anyway, but it's good to say, hey, you gotta, let them know what's going on at least once a year, right?
Do you feel like, as mayor, and with your background, because you've taught these classes at the university, and you've done a lot of this, don't you feel like the city's in really good shape, or really relatively good shape?
Yeah.
Are you concerned about the future at all?
Yeah, no, I feel good about it. One thing I like is, I was talking about outside people looking at things. When the auditor comes in and looks at things, he says we're very conservative. So, that makes me, it's good to hear from some outside person who sees different things. And by conservative, he means financially. We're very safe and that kind of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure.
So.
All right. Well, there's some things coming up. There's lots of miscellaneous items here. The bond closed. Oh, it closed yesterday. St. Patrick's Day. Yahoo!
Yeah. As soon as they set that date, I thought, well, I'll remember that day because it was St. Patrick's Day. It's been scheduled for that day, March 17. So they did close yesterday, and everybody involved was very happy about that. So basically, we had a takedown of right around $25 million. And so that pays off the old bond, it pays off the revenue bond, and it frees up money for a lot of different things we're working on. The Streets Committee had already put in for all their equipment because they knew it wouldn't be ready until after this closed.
Right.
So they already got council to approve everything. And the police, one of the big things they're working on is these radio towers.
Yes.
And one of our IT guys was in my office the other day, and I knew this would be good for a long time. He said, these towers will set you up for the next 50 to 60 years. We'll be set with our communication.
Hey.
So that feels good.
It does.
But it's good to give them in the right place and make sure that, they have, we have a vendor called Smith Two-Way Radio that helps us with this, and they're actually able to test the communications and how well, if the tower is in a certain place, how well it reaches. So with just 3 towers, you can reach every single place in the city if you put them in the right place.
Good.
And that's saying a lot in our city
It
because of our
is.
topography.
That's
you
right.
know.
That's right.
So, but that's important when when the first responders are out there.
Yeah.
So,
What on earth is Pack the Path?
well, that's coming up this Friday at 3 p.m. It's at Metfield, and this was kind of a cool thing because it was a little bit of a grassroots community effort. People want to have trails that are off the street, the busy streets, and yet help you get from point A to point B. We've got a lot of recreational trails, but people want some kind of path or trail that you can walk on and then you're not, or ride your bike and then you're not on the street. So this one goes from Metfield, it goes down Commonwealth and turns on the Trafalgar and then turns on Kingsland. And it's just a certain route people had picked out. And what they did is that it's being done by trailblazers, and sponsor of it is kind of the people who fix the bikes.
Yeah.
Pedal It Forward.
Pedal It Forward.
Yeah, and they got a grant from Arkansas, a group called Arkansas Moves.
Oh.
And so they have a machine that takes the ground and kind of digs it up and leaves some dirt there. And the path part is stomping down. They're getting a bunch of people to walk on it because you have to kind of stomp it down
Yeah.
to make a good path. So it's better than just the regular trail. But
Yeah.
it's still dirt. It's not, cement or paved or anything. So I think this is a good first step. We can have some off-street, because we've wanted to have some off-street side paths. The Greenway going up to Metfield is an example of that. But I've always thought, and that's nice, is really nice and really costly. I've always thought it'd be good to have a path by the street that gets bikes and people off the street, but isn't quite so fancy. Some because we're paying for it ourselves and not by a grant.
And these ones that you're talking about, they're wonderful, but they're like
Yeah.
12 foot wide. My goodness,
Yeah.
the cost on that.
Well, what the example I thought of is the golf cart trails.
Uh-huh.
I mean, there's nothing fancy. They just slap down some asphalt, and once in a while, the weather gives them a beating, or a tree root messes them up, or something like that. But it's way less money. And what would you rather do? Be on the street with the cars, or be over on that pathway? So we're going to be working in the future on having more side paths, and I've found people are really for that. The person driving the car is for it, and the person on the bike or walking is for it. Everybody's for it.
Exactly.
It's expensive, but I think gradually we're going to make progress on that.
Okay, we just have about a minute and a half left. Let's talk quickly about the rest of the things. Let's give a little more time to, there's really, just keep talking.
Okay. Well, the History Museum's having their annual meeting March 21. That's a Saturday at 2 p.m. Sixth and City Litter Pickup, that's become kind of a famous event. That's March 28 at 10 a.m. That's also a Saturday. And I just wanted to mention that the cleanup on Town Center East, which is being done by Cooper, is underway. People have been anxious for that. Yeah, but they've really got some equipment out there and are knocking down walls. And it's mainly going to be a landscaping thing, but I think it'll be nice that people. But the two things people have mentioned to me visually are Town Center East and Lake Bella Vista with the dam removal, and that's starting to get underway. Of course, that's Bentonville, but people still mention that to me. And it's about $4.8 million. They have $2.7 million from FEMA, and $2.1 million's coming from Walton Family Foundation. Yeah. The number of things that Walton Family Foundation does in this area is just phenomenal.
It is.
Yeah.
We are so fortunate.
Yeah.
We are out of time, but I am glad to see you as always.
Yeah.
And let's remind people to please come to the City Council meeting, because I don't know, I think it would be kind of cool for you guys to have people to actually talk to out there in your audience. Sure, we do the live, but I think it's always better if people come and feel secure enough to talk to you guys.
Yeah, but it is great what community television does, because also that gives the meeting on tape. People go back, watch it later. So
That's right.
it
That's
is
right.
nice people be able to see it if they like.
Thank you so much. We will see you next month. Who knows? Who knows what you'll be bringing to the table?
Okay.
Until then.
Thank you.